Researchers have a new lead on why HIV has been so hard to cure, and they're looking at a new strategy to drive the virus from the body.
Antiviral medications have helped control the virus that causes AIDS, but they haven't been able to eliminate it. So the hunt for a cure continues. VOA's Steve Baragona tells On Assignment's Rebecca Ward about the new scientific advancements.
Basically, the whole paradigm for the last, couple of decades has been to treat the disease, to turn it into a chronic condition, rather than a death sentence. It's become something that the drugs have gotten really good, and you can live for a long time with HIV, but we have not been able to cure the disease.
So from your report, it sounds like what they're trying to do is, and it sounds strange to me, but coax the disease out in order for the immune system to actually be able to attack it.
Yeah. When you're taking HIV medications, you can keep the virus from making copies of itself. What they don't do is get the virus where it hides. HIV is very sneaky this way. You can take the drugs and keep the virus down, but a few copies of the virus duck into hiding in some of your immune system cells. They've been doing these experiments to try and coax these viruses out, but when they do, the viruses go crazy.
As soon as patients stop taking the drugs, virus comes out of this latent state and starts to replicate again. And that's why you can't cure anybody with the drugs.
The problem is that when the virus comes out of hiding, the body's immune system doesn't recognize it. So what's happened, what they've discovered in this paper, is that when the virus goes into hiding, it's put on a disguise.
And so the researcher that you spoke to over at Johns Hopkins, what has he recently discovered, and how is that going to help cure AIDS?
Right. So Dr. SILICIANO has found that the virus actually puts on that disguise very early before it even goes into hiding, so that when it comes out, basically every virus that manages to go into hiding has a disguise. If you get the virus very early in treatment, or very early in the course of infection, you can get it before it has time to turn on these disguises. But we're talking about like early in the first couple of weeks, and that doesn't happen in a lot of cases. So you take the drugs, and basically all the viruses that are running around in your bloodstream, you can wipe them out. They're fine. But those few viruses that early on in the process snuck into your immune cells and went into hiding, the drugs aren't going to do anything to them. So as soon as you stop taking the drugs, those disguised viruses pop out, and the immune system looks at them and goes, "Wow, you're fine," and lets them go. But the good news is you can teach the immune system to recognize those viruses.
But there are other cells that see different parts of the virus that have not mutated, and those cells can be still can be effective. Now they have to be stimulated in the right way, but once they're stimulated, they can now recognize and eliminate these infected cells.
It's not clear yet if this will do the trick. If it has another hiding place, the way that you kind of scare it out of hiding won't work.
Half the battle is killing the cells once you turn the virus back on. Probably the harder part is actually just turning the virus back on. We still, are looking for ways to do that.
If they're hiding in the immune cells, but they're also hiding in some other kind of cells, if you scare them out of the immune cells, the ones hiding someplace else, they're fine. They're not going to be affected.
Steve, how did you find out about this story? It's so fascinating, this kind of research.
Yeah, this stuff is going on all the time in the major medical journals. This one was published in the journal Nature. It's one of these things where if you see a paper coming out in Nature or Science or something, it's probably a fairly big deal. And
so a good indication that at least some promising research is coming along.
Yeah, very promising.
VOA's Steve Baragona. Despite medical advances, HIV/AIDS is still a huge health problem. The WHO estimates that in 2013, 35 million people were living with the disease worldwide.